Hello, welcome everyone to another session in this channel. So in today's video, we're going to do another past questions in this series. So the first question is this: briefly explain each of the following terms. So the first one is compilers, second is interpreters, the third is header files, the fourth is inline functions, the fifth is data types. So we're going to actually explain each of these following in this video. So the second one is to write a simple C++ program using switch statement, which takes two integers and any arithmetic operator character as input and displays the output of the calculated operation. So we're going to build a calculator program. So for example, look at what the calculator program is actually going to give us input. So let's say, for example, the program is going to say enter first integer, and so when it says that, the user is going to enter a number. So in this case example, the user entered number 4. So it's going to also say enter second integer, and then the user also entered, for example, in this case, number 2. Then the third one is going to also give an input saying choose any operator, let's say addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. And in this case, for example, also the user chose addition, and so it's going to say addition of numbers is the numbers added together. So in this case, 4 and 2 added together is going to give you 6. So it's going to say addition of numbers is 6. So let's say the number enters, for example, entered 5 and 10, and I actually choose something like also addition. It's also going to say addition of numbers gave 15, because adding 5 and 10 is going to give us 15. So we're going to do all of this in this session. So without much further ado, let's just sit back and do this right away. The first one is to explain those terms. So the first one is explaining those terms. So 1a, the first term there is the compiler. So what is a compiler? A compiler translates the entire, so the compiler translates the entire source code. It translates the entire source code of a program into a machine code of a program into a machine code into a machine code before execution. So compiler is going to compile everything, so you're going to translate everything about the code into machine codes before execution, right? So examples of compilers. So examples of compilers we can give. Example of a compiler we can give is GCC. That is the compiler used for C and C++, right? Okay, so the second one is the interpreter. So 1b is about interpreter. An interpreter, okay, so an interpreter translates and executes code. Translates what? Translates, you can also say translates a source code. So it translates a source code line by line. So the one of compiler does everything all at once, but this one does it line by line. Okay, it does not generate, okay, it does not generate an executable file. It does not generate an executable file, but runs the code directly. So So for compilers, you're going to actually have what is called an executable, but in interpreter you don't have such. So it runs the code directly. So we can also give examples of interpreter. Example Example of interpreter. Example of interpreter is the V8 engine. So the V8 engine is actually the one used to run JavaScript language. So the V8 engine is an example of an interpreter. So the third one we have, which is 1C, is what are header files? What are header files? So what are header files? A header file, or header files, we can also say just header files. Header files contain function declarations. So you can say they contain function declarations. They contain function declarations and macro. You can also say macros, because they can also contain macros. So contains macros and constants and what constants. They contain also constants that can be included in multiple source files. In multiple source files. So we can say in C++, in C++, we can also say that header files start with, so they start with the hash include, right? So they start with the hash include directive. So this is actually a preprocessor directive that is used to start all header files. So we can also see that. So examples of header files we can give in C++. Examples of header files in C++, we have the IO stream. So when you say include IO stream, the IO stream is called a header file. We can also have the one for algorithm. So this is also a header file in C++. We also have string. These are all header files that contains all the strings manipulation stuff we have in C++. That is that about header files. Okay. We also have the next one, which is for inline function. So what is an inline function? Inline functions. Okay, an inline function is a function that suggests to the compiler to replace what? To replace the function call, with the actual function code, in a word, in a source file. So this helps to reduce. This helps reduce what? The overhead of function. The overhead of what? Of function calls. Making the program run faster. Making the program making the program run faster. Okay, so that is that for the inline function. How about the other one, which is for data types? So what is a data type? So 1e data type, data types, this helps, this is just to help, this helps, let me just say this help define the type of data, the type of data that a variable can store, the type of data that a variable can store. So we have examples of different types of data. So examples, so we have the integers. So we have the integers represented by the int keyword. So we have the integers, we have the characters, right? We have the booleans, so etc. These are different types of data in C++. Okay, so the next thing we're going to go to do now is to solve the number 2 section of the question. So let me just go straight into it and look at it again. Write a simple calculator program using switch statements, which takes 2 integers and any arithmetic operator character as inputs and displays the output of the calculated operation as displayed below. So let's just go right into doing this right away. So the first thing we are going to do, okay, so let's just say number two. So the first thing we're going to do is to include the IO stream library because we're going to print out some stuff. So hash include IO stream. So including the IO stream library. Okay, then using namespace std, that's using the standard namespace, using namespace std. Okay, and after that we are going to now go to the main function. So int main. Okay, so now since we're going to be needing 2 numbers from the user, which are integers, let's initialize them to be of the integer type. So let's say int, let's call the first number num1, let's call the second number num2. Okay, now we're also going to have another data, or which we're going to have another variable which is going to actually handle the type of character they are actually entering for the operations or the operator. So let's initialize that to be of char type, or which is the character type. So let's call it op. So this is a variable op which is going to handle the character that the user is going to enter to help us determine which operation we want to perform. Okay, so now let's go into the taking data from the user. So let's say cout. We are going to tell the user enter what? Enter first number. You can say enter first integer number. So let's just say enter first number. Or what did they say here? Let's actually go with the way they actually did it here. So let's say, okay, enter first integer. So let's do it that same way here. Enter first integer. Okay, so enter first integer, and the user is going to do that right away. So enter first integer, the user is going to enter a data, and then we're going to store that in the num1 variable. So num1 is going to handle that. Second, we're also going to request the user to enter the second one. So enter second integer, enter second integer, and the user is also going to enter that. So let's store that in num2. Okay, then after that we're going to actually tell the user to choose any operator. So see out, we're actually going to say choose any operator. So let's actually give the user some options: plus, minus, multiplication, or division. So when the user sees this, is going to actually know that we're actually requesting that amongst these four you should choose one. Okay, so we also do an L here, and then this is going to be in the op variable. So op. Okay, so that right now we're going to go into the switch statement. Okay, so after that we are going to go into the case now. So let's say switch. So we're going to use the op, right? And then we open our curly brace. So we say case when the user enters the plus character, what do we do? So we say see out. So we say addition of numbers. Addition of numbers is, so what do we do for that? So we say num1 plus num2, right? And then we end L. So we can actually do that. Or let me just shrink this so that I can actually write it right away. So hold on, let me minimize this so that I can actually reduce it. Okay, I think it's okay now. So addition of numbers is, and let me say end L here. So end L. Okay, and after that I'm actually going to break out of this case. So break. Okay, so the next case is for subtraction. So case when it is subtraction. So we do see out subtraction of numbers is, so we can do num1 minus num2, and then we end L. Okay, the next is for multiplication. So case when we have it to be multiplied. So we say see out multiplication of numbers is, sorry, this there was supposed to be a quotation mark at the end of this. So multiplication of numbers is num1 times num2. Okay, and there's supposed to also be a break here. There's supposed to be a break before the case. Okay, let me just remove this and bring this down so that I could actually append that there. Okay, so let me bring it down, and then let me do a break. There's supposed to be a break after this. So break. Okay, then after this also there is a break. Okay, I think that solves it. So the next is for division. So division, in this case, we'll do a case for division. We have first, so we're going to do some checks first before we divide. So we say first, if num2 is not equal to 0. If num2 is not equal to, that means if it is not equal to 0, then we can actually divide with it. So we can say cout division of numbers, division of numbers is division of numbers is num1 divided by num2, and then we end line. Okay, else we're gonna say cout division by 0, not allowed, division by 0 not allowed, division by 0 not allowed. Okay, then we'll also break. Okay, else, so in the when each of these doesn't work, we are going to go to the default case. So default, we're gonna say probably, let's say if it's an invalid operator or invalid number that we're given or sort of, so we can actually say cout invalid operator, try again. So invalid operator, try again. That's just to end it. Okay, then we end line. Okay, after that will be the end of our switch statement. After that, we have to return 0 for the main function, and then we now close the main loop. So this is this for the code for this particular expression. So let's go to see how it goes. So in the first case, you do your hash include iostream using the standard namespace, the int main, and so this is actually where you declare your variable. So num1 and num2 are the variables we are going to use to get data from the user. The op is the character, the variable we're going to use to store the character of the operator that the user gives. So in the first case, we actually say enter first integer, and the user enters first integer, enter the number, and it's going to be stored in num1. It enters the second one, which is the second integer, which is stored in num2. We also say choose an operator. So out of these 4, the user is expected to choose one. So in this case, the user enters the number and it is stored in op. After that, we go into the switch statement, where we use the operator to check for the cases. So let's say the user enters, and then the user enters plus as the operator character. So we're gonna say addition of numbers is, we say num1 plus num2. If we enter the hyphen is for subtraction. So we say subtraction of numbers is num1 minus num2. If the user enters multiplication, which is like asterisk, we say multiplication of numbers is, we multiply. If the user enters a division, we have to first of all check if the second number is equal to 0, and if it's not equal to 0 first, then we're going to divide. But if it is equal to 0, we're going to go to the else block and say division by 0 is not allowed. So that is that about the switch. After that, we end the switch statement, and then we return to the main function. So since we have nothing else in the main function, we have to just return 0. After returning 0, we close the main function, and that is the end of the code. So I hope you understand this video. If you do help me like this video, help me also subscribe to this channel if you haven't, share this video to your other colleagues so they can also gain this valuable information from this video. With that being said, do have a nice day and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.